listening to Table for Five with Felicia and Annette, only on LA Talk Radio.
You've seen The View. You've heard all the real talk. Now have a seat at our table. A Table for Five.
Yeah.
Just introduce it, not play it.
Okay. Okay. We're on.
Yeah, we are.
We're on. We're on.
It's a live show,
Yes,
folks.
it's
All
live.
this happens. There's no behind the scenes.
No.
This is the scene.
Yeah, you are behind the scenes right now.
We are in the scene.
We are in the scenes. Yes. Good morning. Good Wednesday morning, everyone.
Yes.
Welcome to Table for Five. If you're wondering where you are, what you're doing, you're listening and watching Table for Five, where you, the listening and viewing audience, will always have a seat right here at this table for all of our conversations and fun things that we have going on. Today is Halloween.
Yes.
Wednesday.
Happy Halloween. Hence our
Happy
guest
Halloween.
came. She
Yes.
got the memo. We didn't.
Yes,
But I don't know what
know.
memo she got. It didn't come from us.
But you're kind of you've got orange glasses.
Oh,
And
but
black
that's not
outfit.
that wasn't intentional.
Okay, but you're Halloween.
Okay, I'll
and
take
festive,
it.
Yes.
This is my costume.
Yeah. You're festive. It is Halloween, guys, October
Yes.
31st, 2018, and we are so happy and excited to have you guys here joining us once again live.
Yes.
We are here every Monday and Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, for those of you that are all over the world listening and on different
Yes,
coasts.
I have to say hi to
and time
London
zones.
because I got a
Good morning, London.
Good morning, London.
Yes. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Southern California.
Yes.
It's another beautiful day. We're going to have a little wind, I think, happening today. It's going to be another warm Halloween.
Yes.
I'm excited. I love it. I know that you don't like the warm weather, but that's okay. Too bad.
East Coast, I prefer a little coolness. A little.
Yes.
Just a little.
Yes, but before we get started, we have a
Yes,
fantastic show
we do.
today. You know, we were excited about this on Monday.
Yes.
But why don't you tell them where they can find more information about
so
us?
our show housekeeping that we like to call is where you can find us and track us when we're not on the air. And if you're watching us on LA Talk Radio, you could go to Facebook at Felicia and Annette, Table for Five, and you can tune in with us there. If you want to shoot us a quick question or comment on what we're talking about this morning, you can do that there. But otherwise, you can catch us on all our social media platforms, which are Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and our website, which we like to call our one-stop shop, where you can find all the information about the show, upcoming shows, past shows. You can go on the little advertise with us tab if you have something you want to promote or market or advertise. And you can also join our newsletter. We've been pushing
Yes.
that. Our newsletter is full of so much information
So
about our present
fantastic.
guests. And their links and their companies and their website and all that good stuff. And then we also put a little tidbit on there of what's going on in the month. So I would say go to contact and go to the little email prompt and type in your email address. That's all we want. We
Yeah.
don't want anything else. We don't care
need
where you
anything else.
live. We
Nope.
don't want to know anything about you.
We're not gonna come
Just give me your
visit
email
you.
address, and every week you get 2 newsletters that are full
emails.
of information, and you would
That's it.
really enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
So that's it.
Yes. So today's topic, we want to welcome the EduCare Foundation. This is a fantastic
Yes.
foundation, guys. You're going to learn all about an amazing foundation today. A heart-centered educational program for over 30,000 young people across more than 100 high schools and middle schools in Southern California. With us this morning is Stu Semigrand. Very good. Thank you. President and co-founder, and Catherine Hall, a member of their board of directors. I'm going to give you guys a little
Yes.
crowd-pleasing applause. Can't really hear it. Got our little applause. And if you guys are wondering like why we're so excited, we were talking about this earlier. I mean, we like celebrities, don't get us wrong.
Yeah.
We like our celebrities and stuff, but it's people who do things like extraordinary
Yes.
that we get really excited about. Like to have you here at our table and to be
Yeah.
able to talk to you about this, your dream that you've come up with and put in place to help so many people is so exciting.
And
to
to be
us.
doing it for so long.
Yes.
So we call them, these are our rock stars. These are our celebrities.
Yes.
So we are through
So I'm a little like,
yes. So we're gonna jump right in, and I'm going to read Stu's bio.
Yes.
Stu Semigran, he's president of EduCare Foundation, which he and his wife Candice co-founded in 1990. Stu has for years developed and facilitated programs in educational settings worldwide. EduCare currently provides heart-centered educational program for over 30,000 young people across more than 100 high schools and middle schools in Southern California each year. Stu is the author of Making the Best of Me, a handbook for students' excellence and self-esteem. In 2012, Stu was recognized as a David Chow Humanitarian Award Foundation recipient for his service to youth, loving his family and doing his part in creating more love and education, and for all our young people brings him great joy. Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Semigran, for being
well
here.
done,
It's
Stu.
so honored to have you. My goodness.
Absolutely.
And
then
with him
is Miss Catherine Hall. She serves on their board of directors. Catherine has a lifelong career in education. Starting as a sixth grade teacher right after college, her career led to extensive college administrative work at 4 major universities in the U.S. In the 1980s, she began studies in spiritual psychology, leading her to MA. This awakening her to the importance of experiential education. I need some education this morning. And to the awareness that when we know ourselves, it's easier to navigate life. From that point on, she became more deeply involved in nonprofits dedicated to serving youth with a particular focus on education. Catherine served as Vice President of Operations for EduCare for 14 years and now remains passionately involved in the foundation as a board member.
Yes.
So did we give them the number to call in?
Oh,
if
no,
you guys
not yet.
want to call in and join in, if you're not on Facebook Live, and you can be on Facebook Live, jump in if you have questions for them. If you have been part of this program or have a child that's in this program and you want to add to the conversation, or if you have questions, if you're on their website and you've got questions about it, jump on, hop on, call on. You can call us at 818-570-5085. Again, 818-570-5085.
And I want to give their website out. I mean, it's on our Facebook
Yes.
Live right now, but it's www.educare, ADUCARE foundation.com, educarefoundation.com. It's on our Facebook Live feed right now, and it's also will be on our website and all our Instagram and all our social media platforms.
Yes, that's the main place that you can go to get all of the information and to start all of this. First of all, I love the name EduCare Foundation because it sounds so much like education, and I feel like something that we kind of took the caring out of educating. Like it was, or was it ever even really there? I don't know. But it's an interesting concept to talk about caring for the individual, the children. When you're talking about education, we feel like we send our kids to school, they go to school, elementary, middle school, high school, and they're learning stuff. But what are they learning outside of a book, and who else is caring for them? Yeah. It's very interesting.
So do we want to try to, hold on, let me just check. Can we play the video now?
Yes, to give you a little information.
We're going to play a quick video, and then
Yes.
we'll go right into why they're here and what this is all about.
Yes, please
good.
enjoy.
Keep the dust on your back, don't look back. Give all the dies, you know a fake heart attack. 'Cause you don't wait for this, you can feel
was amazing.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
That was amazing.
And this was done, recorded, done, produced, everything by students from Bell High School.
Bell High School.
Yeah. Where is Bell High School located?
Well, it's down South LA.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get right into it because there's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like you guys know what's going on here, but
Yes.
you don't.
Yes.
So we want to know the inception of this whole entire program.
Yes.
Like,
All right.
how did it get started? And obviously, you said there's a name. There's a meaning behind EduCare, and then you could let us know how did you meet Stu? But yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah. Well, it started as in my years when I was a middle school teacher in LA,
Oh,
LA
okay.
Unified.
Are you originally from LA?
No, New York. I'm a New Yorker.
Fellow New
Made
Yorker.
my way out here. And people
happens.
kept thinking you're crazy, but I said I like it here.
Yeah.
And as I was teaching, I was teaching math and history, but I said our kids need something more. They need to know who they are. They need to know how to navigate through crazy teenage years. And I said school isn't providing that. Counselors
this
don't
just
have
And
the
this
time.
was how many years ago? Just say.
So
I don't want to age
30
you.
plus years back.
Right. So how crazy is that still
Yeah.
we're in that same conversation?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So I
and
went
is this
to-
is what you were? Is this a product of because of what you were seeing? Like, had you studied this when you were wanting to become a teacher, or this is just something that you were like, "Hey, I'm a teacher," and now I'm like noticing?
Yeah, I think it was a combination. I
issues.
saw my kids in need, and I said, we're not providing what they need, which is coping skills, self-awareness skills, how to handle life crisis. And at the same time, I was doing a lot of my personal study. I was into sports psychology, into human potential, and going, our kids need to learn these skills
Wow.
that business people, celebrities, athletes are learning.
Yeah.
I got to take it into my classroom.
Yeah.
So I started experimenting, even though my principal said,
No.
teach math.
Yeah.
I said,
Wow.
my kids need to learn about themselves so they can
Yeah.
learn math.
Yeah.
Because they don't care about math unless they
Yeah.
kind of learn about themselves.
Yeah, you have to
So
have that
it led
confidence.
led to a class that my kids were outperforming. Other teachers going, what are you doing? They're behaving in my class.
Nice.
And I said, well, and my wife was a kindergarten teacher. I said, I think we have something I'd really like to throw us into more fully. So we left the classroom and started EduCare Foundation out of the back of our home, and here we are, 30
So it was an
years.
after-school program in your house?
No, it was. No, it wasn't quite that way.
Okay.
But we were designing what we could do.
Okay.
That we could then take into programs in different schools.
And where did the name EduCare come from?
Well, as we were talking to a close friend and we're thinking of names, of course we wanted to bring the heart and the connection with people. That's what unique. It isn't
Yes.
just about academics, it's
Right.
about caring. But we said there's something about the word agicare, which is a Latin word. It means bring out from what was in.
Oh.
So rather than education just dumping stuff in that kids don't care to learn about,
Right.
what's your passion from within you?
Right.
And can we bring that forward and then educate to that versus
Yes.
we're going to tell you what you need to learn?
Yeah,
So
love
EduCare is
it.
always about responding to where the kid's passion lies them. And that's why after school provides so much, because we can take them into science, arts, music, athletics, and we really take them where they want to go.
Yeah.
So that's what
That's
the
so
And
phenomenal.
how did you get involved? Because you've been involved for quite some time.
Well, Stu and I worked together 30 years ago at a nonprofit.
Oh, wow.
And I happened to share an office at the time with a young woman who became Mrs. Semmergrant.
Oh, how
So
great.
we've known each other as friends and
Okay.
colleagues for many years. And I share your admiration because the organization has grown with the community, with the society,
Right.
with the norms of today. Even though it's 30 years old, what was true then is still true in a different
It's evolved.
environment. The kids are different. We didn't have the internet back then.
Right.
We didn't
right,
have
yes.
cell phones.
Yes.
We didn't have instant
You're competing
everything.
with something different now.
Yes, that's why I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about it a little
Yeah.
bit later.
But the heart
evolution
is
of it.
still
Yeah.
there. So
Mm.
it's
And the kids were looking there now, what they were looking then. Is
Yeah.
there a human connection? Is there a teacher, an adult who's not
cares?
just throwing information at me, but it's there for me? for my
So when
well-being?
you started the program, were the kids really receptive? They're like, "Oh, this is cool. I'm going to go do that," or was they like, "Nah, I'm not."
And
about
was
that.
it integrated into your teaching, or was it something completely separate? Like, were you doing a math class and then doing an outside like class for this, or were you kind of integrating it and then did both?
Both.
Okay.
I taught an elective class in my middle school
Okay.
here in LA, and every Friday we would just do this work.
Okay.
And I was learning things in my studies and going, can we do meditation? people go, what's that? I go, well, guess what? You're going to have a test next week. Rather than fear it, let's visualize that you can succeed on your test. Close your eyes, get calm.
Okay.
And we were doing this 30 years ago. And now it's kind of the
Wow.
craze
Yeah.
of how do kids find their peace.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then what also started to happen is other teachers at other schools saying, we hear about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Could you come out to our school? And that's how we kind of went out into Philadelphia. We met with teachers there. And before we knew it, the choice was, can we take this work that I was experimenting in one classroom into other schools? And that's when EduCare became an organization, though it was just a few of us at the time. And that was the beginning of it back in 1987. Nightingale Middle School was our very first middle school.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
One thing that I remember that was so impactful to me was when I first started with EduCare, I was in a lot of the trainings because we do enrichment trainings, 1 or 3 day trainings. They're like workshops. Based
Is that for
on-
the volunteers?
No, this is for kids.
For the kids,
kids,
okay.
Based on social emotional learning and all these human potential things Stu's talking about. But one of the teachers said at the end of the training, she stood up and she said, now I remember why I went into teaching. And it, I get chills just thinking because I can hear her voice.
Wow.
She was resonating so much to her profession. And she came in, tired, fed up, all
Sure.
those
Yeah.
things, frustrated. And after 3 days, and all of the teachers that we work with come with some comment like that, like this is why I'm with these kids, is to really be with them and listen to them and hear what they're saying and learn what their passion is. Whereas they're so busy with the tests and everything
Yeah,
else,
yeah,
and sometimes
numbers
it gets
and
lost.
right.
So this is what happens in the after-school programs and in the workshops, is people touch back into that feeling
Wow.
of
And it's
love
for
and caring.
teachers, so it's for students and teachers. Teachers can come as well.
Right. They
And-
work in the programs with the kids.
Okay.
Because we do after-school programs and all sorts, but then we do these 3-day kind of retreats where kids
Right.
learn about their own self-awareness, their positive choices, and the teachers come as the mentors. And
So-
then we do teacher trainings apart from that, just for
Yeah,
the teachers.
just for
to
the
learn.
teachers.
So that,
That's
I
fantastic,
don't want to
So
jump
many.
ahead,
Yeah.
because I wanted to ask about volunteers and all that stuff. But when you started the program, what was your initial goal?
Yeah.
Because now it seems like it's just this huge
Yeah.
thing. But what was your goal?
My goal, and it still is,
Yeah.
and the way I describe it is I wanted kids to wake up to who they are and to what their life holds for them. Because it was always like the girlfriend, the money, get out on the street. Whatever. I said, but wait a minute, you have a huge life ahead of you. Can you see it? And so my intent was, you have choices to make in the years to come. Make the best choices so your life can just open up.
Right.
And I didn't think there was any place in school that would give them the skills to kind of wake up
Right.
to who they are, how to
Right.
navigate their challenges, and direct themselves in a course that would create a great life.
Yeah. I had a question about the early years about
Sure.
it. So I was thinking about it a little bit, and I wanted to get your opinion. Where now you started in the school that you started in was a lower income, would you say?
Yeah.
School, public school. Do you think that your experience would have been different had you decided to maybe go work for a private school somewhere in a different part of the city? And what made you make that? Did you make a conscious decision to go into an area that had more need?
Yeah. Well, I think EduCare's interest, my personal interest, is always go where the need is greatest.
Right.
We've worked with private schools, and we find the need is there.
Yeah.
I mean, kids' issues, though it might look different, is not that different.
Right.
How to navigate and really discover that, I have the tools to get through. But we wanted to serve where the need was greatest, and that's why we've been serving, over the course of years, mostly in underserved neighborhoods. Yeah.
So after all of the, so I'm getting ahead of myself too, but after all these years, is there one thing that you go, oh, we haven't gotten there yet. We haven't accomplished this yet. We still have to get there.
Yeah.
Because you've seen the trend of things changing with the kids. I mean, technology. So are they more distracted? Is it something that you've had to work against or incorporate?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think what's on the horizon with EduCare for us now, it's the adults.
Adults,
The
teachers,
teachers,
parents, both.
It's-
Parents.
To me, it's the teachers, it's the parents, and it's also the
Yeah.
view of how people see our youth today.
Yes.
And part of our
Yes.
work is guess what? If you have a mindset that our kids are trouble, that our kids are
Right.
going to be no good,
Right.
that comes out.
Right.
And if you're the role model that also portrays that you're not setting the example of what a true leader, and we call compassionate leaders, could be like. So part of our work now is training adults and teachers to go, let's be the example for our kids. And we have to have that for ourselves.
So going to that
Yeah.
same comment, like, so when you started the program, of course, you had friends who believed in you and said, okay, let's do. You had a wife who said, yeah.
Right.
But did everybody else sign up to it and go,
No.
yeah?
No,
That's what I'm
I mean,
thinking.
they
you
thought
said-
this is really nuts.
So where
Yeah.
did you get the volunteers, and how do you train them, and like how do you
this
get?
is a brand new program, so like there's no book on
30
it. There's
years
no-
ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's no like how-to guide. So you had to
Yeah.
make up the how-tos.
Right.
The best way we knew how is start where people have an affinity who really understand what this is about. And one of our first schools in Philadelphia, we had an auditorium after school of about 80 teachers who were being introduced to this. And they were going, are you kidding? I have to teach my subject matter. There were
Right.
7 teachers who said, we see the need for whole child education.
Right.
We see the need for adults connecting with kids. We're in. And then after 1 year, 15 teachers, 6 schools, 7 schools. So it was really catching genuine interest for people looking for kids more than just test scores
Right.
and get them out the door. But we have kids' lives in front of us, and they're looking for people who care.
Right, right.
So that's how it kind of spread.
So that's so go ahead. I'm sorry,
No.
Catherine.
But you asked about volunteers,
Yeah.
and I can speak to that because
Okay.
I was one at first. A lot of people are interested. People, just citizens in the community, like I am one. I believe in public education, even though I went to a private university.
Did you do
I
elementary,
believe
private
that
elementary?
everyone in the United States deserves an excellent education.
Yes.
And when I see that it's not happening or that there are kids that are underserved, I want to volunteer.
Right.
And it's fun. It is so much fun because you're in a room with teenagers. You
Yeah.
know, I love teenagers because they always bring their light and their joy and
Yes.
their curiosity and how quickly they learn compared to some of us who are a little older. But you know
Hey.
that. So people wanted to come to the workshops,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Stu would just announce at different meetings or places he'd be.
Bless you.
Oh, by the way, we're having a training in Van Nuys or somewhere, and people would say, "Hey, I can come." So that's how we get volunteers.
Okay, so here's a question: how did the
Excuse
God
me.
bless you? How did the school board, did they embrace it?
Yeah.
Where they're like, "Hey, come on in," because
Yes.
I hear some folks that say they don't want our program, they don't want our help, they don't want. You know, I was a public school mom for a hot minute, and I was always a PTA mom. I was just always involved. That's how we met. And it was interesting. It was a charter school, and I tried to help. They had a computer room with no computer teacher.
right.
So the kids would go to computer and just do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
They didn't learn how to operate the computer, how to use the keyboard, how to search. So my suggestion was, well, let's pool money, let's raise money and bring in a computer teacher twice a week. I mean,
Yeah.
the money I was paying in private school, I could just, donate it. Well, they weren't even receptive to that.
Yeah.
They were like, no, we have to go through this, and all
The
this
red tape.
paperwork. And I thought, are you kidding? Like, we want to put a teacher in the room, and it wasn't going to cost. But I guess it made, I don't know what the politics were, but their bottom line mattered. I don't know.
I think
funding.
there's too much politics in education.
Well, it affected
first
their
of all.
funding in some kind of weird way as a charter school. But I came across and I thought, how interesting is that? And when I read the program, I thought, how did you
They
get them?
navigate that.
Yeah, how did you get around that and bring people on board to say, okay, this is not going to affect your bottom line as a
Yeah.
school?
Well, in fact, bottom line often increased. One of our selling points economically is when we went into Philadelphia, we saw the attendance rates of kids going up 20, 30%. Schools receive dollars
Yes,
for daily attendance.
yes.
So they actually more than paid for the program just by increased daily attendance.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
some people just financially said, this makes sense.
Yeah.
And then in terms of morale and behavior, less fights, enjoyment of staff to get back inside of their teaching, all of that was on the increase. And then we brought research in to see the academics are increasing, social climate, behaviors, all that's increasing. Then people said, there's really value in here. It's not
Yeah.
just test scores.
So
There's
then
something else
the
going on
school
there.
board was like, the Board of Education of Los Angeles was like, sure, come on in to all
Well,
our
it
schools.
took time.
Okay.
And like anything else, you find your allies.
Okay.
You find the people
Yes.
inside the system who believe in
Yes.
it.
Okay.
And there's now, and I see great changes where people are looking on the whole side of education,
Right.
not just one corner of it. And there's, I believe, inside of LAUSD, a genuine interest in our kids.
Yeah.
And there's
Okay.
politics and all that, but there's so many people really championing.
There are.
And they see work like EduCare's is right there with a genuine devotion to kids.
So let's go back, and for our listening audience that hasn't been familiar with your website or that hasn't, seen any videos outside of the video that we just showed, can you explain the program as it is today? I don't know if there is any difference, because I know that you mentioned how you were kind of doing it in your classroom first,
Right.
and then you did an elective class, which I think is really key, and I'll get into that in a second. And then now it's kind of an after school, is it in school? So take us through the programs, or the different
Sure,
programs, if you will.
Sure. There's a few different platforms, so to speak, of how the work gets out.
Okay.
The main one is after-school programs, and no cost to families.
Okay.
Wow.
So
Which
it's
is a big
completely
plus.
after school. We're not talking electives. We're talking like
This
school
portion
is done.
after school. School's done.
You sign
3
up
to
for
6,
it.
Saturdays, summers. What am I doing with my teenagers? Where do I go?
Yeah.
And
'Cause-
they
yeah.
choose in, because at high school level, it isn't a parent saying you got to go. So we make it so that it's of their choice. Everything from science, from music, from fitness.
Incredible.
A lot of special activities. Catherine, you wanted to?
Yeah, I want to
chime
add
in.
just that it's under the auspices of Beyond the Bell, which is the LAUSD after school
Okay.
division. And that's Beyond the Bell means at the end of the regular school
Sure.
day.
Okay.
And so we're one of the main agency providers for after-school programs, and we have sites. It's like having a Boys and Girls Club, but after school,
Okay.
free of charge, and we have it at 18 sites across the city, 18 high schools and middle schools.
And
Wow.
it's key, because I want to say that again, that it is okay for high schoolers, or it is geared towards middle school and high schoolers,
Right.
because a lot of programs like the YMCA, you kind of age out kind of early, like 12, 13, then you have to come in as a counselor or something like that, or it's not necessarily super supervised. So when you're talking about high schoolers, is there supervision? Is there
Just imagine that you have teachers, college students, and some of the people from the community who are skilled and excited about their talent, be it hip hop, computer graphics, be it fitness, and they're in there teaching these, and the kids get to choose after school which one of these clubs or activities I want to go
Fantastic.
to.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So they're all trained and they're all very.
And what makes it different
talented.
than like a Boys and Girls Club?
Well, one of the things I think is it's very accessible for kids. They don't have to go anywhere.
Mm.
It's right at their school. So when the bell rings, they don't have to go, how do I get there?
How do
It's
I get
right
there?
there.
Right.
And it's almost like these after-school programs take over the school site,
Right.
and it comes alive after school.
That's fantastic.
And I'm not
Very
sure
convenient.
you got that it's tailored to the needs or the wants of the students. They do surveys at the beginning of the year.
Oh.
Hey, what's your passion? What are you interested in? And if they have 20 kids that want to do something, like one time we had Korean drumming, and we had anime and different subjects, but the kids were interested in it. So EduCare was able to get a tutor, or an after-school coach for that, and they had that program. It wasn't, we didn't come up with the subjects, the kids did, and I think that's
Nice.
one of the beauties. And as Stu said, they're right on the school campus. So for kids who don't have transportation, or their parents aren't available to drive them places, they're right there.
So let's say I want to volunteer.
Yeah.
So I contact the email or go to the website, and then what's next?
Well, people then get a chance to meet with us. We'll find out what interests they have. They can volunteer at an after-school program. Then we have these 3-day ACE programs, which is more about self-discovery for kids.
So
They
it's
can
like a
come in-
workshop.
Like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
workshop. And 3 consecutive days, and they can come in and be a mentor at one of the workshops.
Do you guys do background checks? Like, what's the criteria? You
all
do
of that.
full background check?
Yeah, it's required through
Um,
the school district.
okay.
Everybody volunteers has that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because and then where are the 3-day workshops? Are those held at various different places? Are they at the schools? That facilitated by the school?
Can be at the high school, but often we'll take them to a local college campus. So
Okay.
the kids are then taken off site. We take them at rec centers. So it's usually in the local communities.
So, I'm sorry.
I
go
want
ahead.
to mention this. I just happened to visit one last week, and it was at a rec center on the harbor in San Pedro.
Oh,
Because it was
nice.
for a school that's pretty far south, and the kids were watching the water and the boats and the Harbor, it was fascinating during the lunch break. So it sort of takes them out of their
Yeah.
normal
Right.
school environment into something that can be more expansive for them.
Absolutely.
Learning new things, especially if it's on a college campus.
Sure.
Yes.
We've taken so many kids to UCLA because there's a wonderful rec center there.
Yeah.
We use campgrounds,
Yeah.
get them up in the mountains for some of these,
Yeah.
so that we get them out. into
Yeah,
the-
and
So-
just to me, that simple exposure to something
Exactly.
different
Yeah.
when you don't necessarily always have the opportunity to do that.
Exactly.
Like, say you don't have an older sibling and you're the only person in the family that's geared right now to go to college, and
Yeah.
you've never been on a college campus. Why would you go? It's not like you're going to alumni games and things like that. So if you don't know it and live it and see it, then how is that expected of
Especially
you?
for the 9th graders or the younger ones, 9th and 10th. I remember a kid said to me, I can see myself here.
Yes.
And that's worth $1
That's
million
amazing.
to
That's
me.
it.
Yes.
Because
Work done.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Once you see yourself,
Yeah.
Yes.
you're there.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you have to put them in that environment,
Yeah.
and oftentimes so many people don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Exactly. And go ahead.
No, you go. I was going to ask you about how can folks donate, or where does this funding go, and when you take them on trips, how does that get facilitated, and who sponsors that?
Yeah. Well, in terms of how people can donate, they can donate directly on our website.
Okay.
Very good.
And there's a donate page right on the website. In fact, we just created it, so it's very easy for people to do that. And
Fantastic.
And where it comes to is that in order to sustain these programs at no cost, now we have government dollars through the school district to do it, but the need is really so program related to hire staff to do the bookkeeping, to
Yeah.
do maintain the technology. That's where we need funds, just to maintain sustaining the company itself
Absolutely.
as a nonprofit.
So I was just going to go back to kind of like the different platforms. So we have the dedicated after school
Right.
program. Then you've got your 3-day workshop. Do you have anything that's integrated into the school day, like if like you were saying earlier, that if you had an elective class, like if the children want to take it as an elective, I feel like there are so many different things. If you had a conversation with me, there are so many things I think we need to have
Right.
in addition to like math and science and history as classes, bona fide classes. Do you have that? Is that on the horizon? And what about teacher training?
Yeah. Well, one of the ways, let me start with the teacher training, because to
Okay.
me that's right at the heart of what we're doing now, because
Yeah.
we can only get out to so many schools.
Right.
But if we can influence, and one of the ways we're influencing is starting to teach, the teachers are now in university learning to become teachers. So we're
Right.
doing a certification model.
At those universities.
Well, we're starting it with we're working with after-school teachers,
Okay.
instructors. And we have a year-long certification on what we call heart-set skills.
Okay.
How do you teach with connection to kids? How do you teach with praising kids and honoring? How do you teach it in ways that they'll understand it? And we have a curriculum. So we have teachers now learning that they can take back into their programs, as well as train others at their schools or their after-school
Oh,
agencies.
fantastic.
And then there's one university we're starting to work with in January, Fresno State, who has a whole teaching fellows program, up-and-coming college students who are soon to become teachers. How do we bring this type of training into their educational
Yes.
prep, so when they get out in the
Yes.
field, they're already
Yes.
working with a greater connection to kids. It isn't
Yes.
just my academics, but how do we teach a class of kids where they feel we're a family, more just a number?
Oh, that's phenomenal.
What are some of the great testimonies you could give of some of your students? Because 30 years, you
Yeah.
had to have some really
yeah.
wonderful stories.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, one that comes to one of my greatest stories is that we have about 300 on our staff, and probably
You have 300 people on your staff,
Right.
and that includes volunteers or just to
just-
run the company.
just to run
the
yeah,
organization.
Right. And
Wow.
of that, about 250 are based at the school sites running programs.
Wow.
And then
Okay.
we have a core, but of that, about 20% are our kids from 10, 15, 20 years ago.
That's
What?
so amazing. That was going to be one of my
fantastic.
questions.
And so
like,
they go, well, this is my neighborhood, and now I'm a college grad. I want to give back into my
That's
neighborhood.
That's so
amazing.
So to me,
fantastic.
of all the testaments, is our kids are giving back into
Yes,
their communities.
they've come back. They've
Yeah.
gone through the program.
And for instance, we have kids, and now being, STEM and sciences being on the forefront for particularly, in underserved neighborhoods, we have kids who a year or two ago were some of our science whizzes in high school. At some of the toughest of high schools, they're now at the colleges down the road, they're coming back and they're teaching engineering and robotics and science.
In
They
the
said, I was
classrooms?
back in after-school programs.
Okay, in the after-school
And they go,
program.
guess what? You can be an engineer like I am now.
Wow.
I know you thought you were just a knucklehead in high school. Dude,
Right.
You could be an engineer just like I am now.
That's
so our kids are the role models for their other kids.
Do you see the shift in this? Let's say a student who's gotten into a lot of trouble, and they just kind of like stumble into your program. Have you witnessed a shift? Like, can you actually see where you see the pivot in the child?
I wanna tell Eldridge
Yeah,
story.
I'm going to tell one a kid that I adore. He was going down. I mean, he wore. I remember him in his first ACE program. He had a black beanie on. He had a lot of chains, and I mean, you had to picture. Always look to the ground. Never eye contact. He did the ACE program. I think he did another ACE program. This young man ended up student body president, senior class president,
wow.
prom king at LA High.
Wow. When did he start? He started in the program
In
That's
ninth
ninth
grade.
grade.
ninth grade. Wow.
Now he's 29.
Now he's 29
leading
years
our
old,
programs
and
across the
he's
city.
one of our lead facilitators.
So has he ever shared what changed? Like what moment it
Well,
clicked for him?
One quote I remember from him, and we've had many, but I asked him when he was 15, you've done all this work, and he was really becoming awake and aware, and he was a wonderful natural leader. I hope you're listening, Eldrick. He said, I said, tell me one thing you've learned. I like to pin him down, you know. He said, well, I have learned that nobody's going to do it for me. I have to do it for myself. And I think I felt it, that he was coming from such a strong place inside of him that he was going to be the master of his own destiny. And he is. He's a wonderful young man today. So
And he was in your after school programs, and I'm glad you called it the ACE, because I had almost forgot about that. So are the after school programs called the ACE program? No, but
those are called our after school. Our ACE, achievement, commitment, excellence. Those are those 3-day retreats.
okay.
But what happened was school said that's not enough because our kids are left with us. So now we have an initiative called the ACE Initiative, where 6 high schools
Okay.
and some foundations and others are supporting us can build this as a year-long, we call it a culture shift, not just for kids, but for parents and teachers to learn how to respect, learn how to regard each other in positive ways, to motivate each other. So it's a whole campus shift. So ACE is not just a program, it becomes a climate of caring. We call it building cultures of compassion and caring at your college, at your campuses.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go there because I'm a Latina, and I'm just going to go there.
Please go.
So, with the culture shifting in politics and with kids, parents being sent back and,
Sure.
all that stuff dynamic. I know most of the schools that you're connected to, there's a lot of Hispanic kids. How do you gain their trust, and how do you gain the trust of their parent?
Yeah, good question. Well, most of our staff is from the neighborhood, so we are of them, and we respond to what's really sincere for them. For instance, as a lot of us know, there's been a lot of pressure going, what's going to happen in my family? Are we going to be
Right.
here? And so we address that.
Legitimate
Good.
concerns.
Right after
yes.
the election, we met with parents.
Good.
There was so much fear. There was so much
Yeah.
concern. We
Yeah.
met with kids, Muslim kids, our Hispanic kids, put them on. What do you need to know? How can you voice your fears? And how can you take care of yourself through very crazy times? So I think in our kids, we know that we're with them. It's not something we're serving you alone. We're part of your community. We're part of your needs. And so, and our staff represents who they are.
Yeah.
And the fact that you had those conversations, I think that just is a testament to let people understand and know, like, we're here, we hear you, we hear your concerns. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Also, I one of the notes that came up in here was that 1 out of 3 students are victims of bullying, and more than 5,000 LAUSD students attempted suicide in the last year. Have you ever lost a student to suicide? Have you ever had to, being in the program, knowing they were getting so far, and then the environment, let's say, just got them?
Yeah.
I mean, the shootings in the neighborhood, there've been kids at games or after games that we've had to mourn and know of that. I think one of the greatest ways we serve is for a lot of our kids, our programs are a safe haven.
Yeah.
A lot of our kids may not want to go home. We sometimes have to go, it's time to go.
Wow.
We know of a girl, Destiny, who for many years she said, I would travel an hour each day just to be at school so I could be in your programs because I didn't want to go at night back home. So we know one of the greatest services we give to kids is not only a caring place but a safe place.
Right.
And many of the kids relate to us as family. So with that, we know their stories. And we're there for them in a lot of different ways.
So do you have like counselors also part of the
We
program?
have a case management piece of our work.
Okay.
Okay,
And that's where a lot of our funding now we hope to do is we had about 6 schools, and we hope from this grants being written now and being reviewed now that we can bring a case management program back in where they at schools will choose 30 to 50 kids who are most at risk, and we'll give them that special needs with social care and services that they need. So that's one of our adjunct programs.
That's
we do.
excellent. Yeah.
So
One of the side effects of this too is not only with the case management and all of the other programs is that a lot of times ninth graders, especially in some of these schools where it is a very high percentage of Latino kids, they kind of like to stay under the radar, and they don't have a lot of bonding or friends at school because they've learned to be very cautious.
Yeah.
So part of the thing that I see happening is that they find a safe haven, but a place where they can really be with other kids and make
relate.
friends, and which is so important. And then bond with their instructors and their case managers and their teachers, learning how it is to talk to an adult. This is a simple skill that we may take for granted, but some kids don't know. They're afraid to say anything, or they're embarrassed, and so learning that it's safe to talk to someone, and it's safe to look at them, and it's safe to say what you think.
Yeah.
These are very important skills that they may not be getting in the day school, but they have it in the safe haven. So that's one of the things. I call it a sidebar because it's not like major academic learning, but it's a very important part of high school.
Let me address that, because one of the things that starts to happen is the school becomes more of a community and a family. One of the greatest compliments we're getting from principals, they're saying, there's happiness at our school where there wasn't. There's a sense of respect for one another where there wasn't. And one of the greatest compliments I'll hear is the teacher who will tell us, now I'm excited about coming to school again.
Nice.
I want to be in my classrooms. I'm not just fearful of what's going to happen today.
Do you want to get the program in how many more schools? I mean,
Well,
are you staffed?
I feel
I
like
know.
there should be a
I should
program
be
like this
required.
in yes, I think it should be in every middle
I think
school and high
LAUSD should make
school.
this a required after-school program.
I
We'll
absolutely
let them
agree.
know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I absolutely
And you need
agree.
the staff, though. We need the
Yeah.
staff to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we've never been a numbers game. We really want to do, and we usually go where there's interest. But this
Okay.
interest is now growing. People are seeing the need for addressing all of the issues of
Right.
the kids, not just their academic.
Yeah, I was just going to
issues.
ask, how do schools find you, or do you find the school?
It's a combination.
Okay.
Yeah. The school district, since we're a provider through LAUSD, they'll contact LAUSD after school, be on the bell, and they'll say, how do we involve ourselves with after-school programs such as EduCare? And they'll be kind of the conduit. And then there's schools who come to us apart from LAUSD and other parts of Southern California, and we'll just make arrangements based on how they
To
can
facilitate.
That's fantastic.
There. Now, is there like a cutoff? You were talking about how some of the schools recommend students for your program. Is there like a certain number? Like, are you like each semester we can only take 10, 15 kids, and are you solely at the high school level? Because I feel like you started in middle school, but we've been talking about high school. Are we still in middle school? Because I feel like middle school to me is a really
Exactly.
critical age. Like people think, high school, but I almost feel like, Jesus, almost too late by then. And we were also talking about, does it need to be? It absolutely needs to be in every single school, because to me, when you see a problem, it's already bad. Like we want to stop the problems before they're there.
Yeah. And a lot of the work that we're doing is preventative.
Yes.
There's a lot of work now
Yes.
of restorative justice. How do we bring peace back into our schools? And part of our work is the front end.
Yeah.
How do we create environments where there's
Let's
less
create it
challenges?
first. Yes.
Because people and we can call it, can I see someone in a different way? We do an activity with staff we call it I See You. How do you learn to see people past all the prejudice, all the physicality of people, and go, that's what our kids need as well. Can we see them past their life? And when kids learn to do that for each other, which they do learn how to do that, less bullying, less fighting, and there's a greater regard for, we're a part of humanity, and we happen to be sharing this campus together, and it becomes more of a family affair. So yes, we're primarily in high schools, but there's more interest than we are involved. We do a lot of special programs for the middle schools, and one of the programs we're doing is helping the newly immigrated kids get socialized inside of their schools. What happens? They'll click out, they'll be lost at their school. Part of our work in our programs is how do you integrate yourself, and how does the school take these newly immigrated kids inside of your school as part of your school. They're just not another click off to the side.
And we do have one middle school, Walnut Park, where we have after-school programs. And off air, I'll show you some of their videos because they're very special.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And do you find the need, or do you feel like you would push more into middle schools, or do you feel like middle schools kind of have their own, because the kids are still kind of younger, that they can be involved in other things, that there's not that great of a need? Is that someplace you want to go next, push that next? Because I really do believe that this is, middle school students need someplace to go after school too, because if you don't get them then, the streets might get them, or something else might get them. So let's do it before.
You're right. We've been attracted to high school, but we are interested, and we continue to work inside of middle schools. Other agencies are working inside of middle schools. So beyond the Bell and after-school programs, elementary, middle, high school covers all of that. Our focus has been a lot with high school, but we still do a lot inside of our middle schools as well.
Very good.
And a lot of it has to do with the funding. Where are the grants coming? You see, the government changes, the policies change, the legislation changes. Now they put a lot of emphasis on high schools. It could shift, and then and that's where the grants come into the organizations who are providing the services for LAUSD.
So us as parents, what can we do? Are there parents at the elementary school level looking forward, or at the middle school level now? Is there anything that they can do to make sure that the high school programs are there once they are retained that, and then say you're a parent in elementary school and you're like, my neighborhood, my local schools, middle schools, high schools can benefit from this. What do I do? How do I push this through?
Well, I think one is let your voice be heard as a parent. Inside your school, to the district. Be watchful of who you're electing as your officials. It's very clear that some
voting.
of them
This is voting season.
voting
This
is
is
right
voting
there.
time. School boards are having their elections right now, so pay attention.
And those candidates will make it known, we're behind after school programs, we're behind summer programs, we see the need for that. So, we ask parents to step up on that. And a lot of them, for instance, we'll be up in Sacramento letting our voices be heard, and parents come and join us.
Oh, very good.
Students will come as part of the student voice to let our legislature know we need after-school programs as a support for our kids.
And I know, just quickly, we didn't mention that we do workshops for parents in the schools that have the programs. Stu has developed a wonderful evening workshop or a morning workshop for parents of students, and we've had that also for the learning English students, the English learners. The parents come in and it's all translated into Spanish so that they can be part of this and their own learning, and they're getting this culture shift. So we do some as much work as a school wants.
Right.
with
That's
the parents.
fantastic. That's fantastic. I didn't want us to run out of time without talking about Giving Tuesday. We mentioned it earlier. So tell everybody who's watching and listening about Giving Tuesday.
Catherine, you want to start us
Yeah.
So you all have heard of Black Friday, which is Friday. Monday is Cyber Monday. Tuesday is Giving Tuesday. It's a national event now, and we've been participating for a couple years, and it's a wonderful way for people to just give from their heart on that day. It's all over the social media. You can do it through our website. You can do it through Facebook. Facebook actually is matching up to $2 million?
$7 million.
$7 million
For nonprofits across
for
the country.
nonprofits.
Oh, wow.
For people
Good job,
donating on
Facebook.
Giving Tuesday.
And so when people do it through Facebook, which is so easy, you just click, and it's really designed for people of any means, which
Right.
I love. You can give $2, $5, $10.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
It's not for you just. So it's a wonderful way to participate and support, and that's a way of voting. This is I care for this.
So it's Giving Tuesday.
It's
This
November
year.
27th.
November 27th,
the
yeah.
Tuesday after Thanksgiving.
Right, and we started a campaign leading up and through Giving Tuesday for people to donate, and we call it the Heart Set Heroes campaign.
Okay.
That there's so many heroes in our world. The ordinary ones of us, which is everyone, a hero of the heart, of kindness and empathy, compassion for people. Each of us is that hero. So we're having a campaign where everyone steps up in their way, being the hero of the heart in your work, in your relationships, and through giving into EduCare and other organizations. So we're inviting many of us to say there's another type of hero. It's all of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Give back into the community, be a heart-set hero.
Yeah, like the
Absolutely.
two that are sitting here.
Hero is like not even, I don't know, superhero, extraordinary hero.
Now,
person.
before I want to tell us about these cards.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have two that you guys can see. Mine says skills for heart set education, and it gives a list of the skill sets. I imagine that you are teaching.
Yeah, these are
Right.
skills. It's another form of education, not the academic side, but the social emotional learning side, the whole child. And how do we, as educators, learn how to honor our kids, forgive our kids, forgive ourselves.
Yes.
So these are skills that our teachers are learning, and then we have curriculum, how the kids can learn it in their after-school programs in their classrooms. It's another element of education, educating from the heart.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the most favorite quotes Aristotle said, education of the mind without educating the heart is not education at all. And we can learn all we can learn, but if we don't have compassion and kindness inside of our education, we're missing something.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
what we're
Okay,
after.
we're out of
compassion.
time.
Yeah. Do we have any questions?
No, we just had a couple of comments.
Okay.
Joseph Montedesco. Do you guys know that?
We know them.
Thomas
Berlin?
Berlin. Yeah. Robert Mott, of course. Joseph again. Just people leaving comments and about what you guys are talking
thank you.
about.
Yes.
So
Well,
there's a
thank
lot of
you guys.
Those are
information
some
on
of the amazing staff. Those are some of our EduCare staff who do the
Yes.
work every day. So
Yes.
I want to give our kudos to all of our staff across the
Yes.
city.
Yeah,
Yes,
this
you
is
guys You guys are
fantastic.
doing an amazing,
I know.
amazing job. God's work.
Yes.
Whoever you believe in, the universe is like doing it big with you guys and to continue to do this for so long. I so applaud you. I'm not gonna get emotional.
Yeah.
We're not done yet. There's a lot to do.
I
Not just
know.
us,
Yes.
but everyone.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
a time for people to do good work.
Yes.
This is
You know,
Yes.
well.
Compassion. Just
Yeah.
something so simple that we think and we take so much for granted.
Yeah.
But we need to see it. We need to pour it into our young people. We need to see it in them, and we need to see beyond them. I love that idea of seeing who you are.
Yeah.
And
So go
join
ahead.
us on November 27th.
Yes,
Facebook
absolutely.
Live. We're doing a little event on
Oh,
Facebook
fun.
for
Okay.
Giving Tuesday, so people
That's
can
right.
be entertained and join us.
Oh,
So
fun.
please,
I imagine entertainment is going to be
and
quite
I'll be
fun.
wearing my costume. Happy Halloween.
I know. We want to
That's
thank
fantastic,
Stu
yes.
and Catherine for
Yes.
being
Thanks for
here.
having
This
us.
is awesome.
Yeah,
What an
we
honor to have you at our table this
Such an
morning.
honor.
Yes, such an honor. And I want to remind you guys, go to www.educarefoundation.org.
Com.
Sorry.
It is a
com.
.com.
Dot
Yes.
com. And donate, participate, volunteer, be part of
Yeah,
the team, be a
educate
part of the change that we need to see in our kids. We can't complain about them and not do anything about it,
There
right?
we go.
Yes.
That's just not. That's not going to
It's
work.
not acceptable.
Unacceptable, exactly. So thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you've been informed, educated, and entertained. Catch us next week here on LA Talk Radio.
great show.
Have a great rest
Have
of
a
your
great
week.
week.
Happy
Bye.
Halloween.
You're listening to Table for Five with Felicia and Annette, only on LA Talk Radio.